Setting off from Garstang Marina, we decided to do the Glasson Branch today. As you can see, it's pretty windy. The leaves are being blown off the trees and being blown right across the canal. The last time I attempted locks was in the 1970s, and that was on a narrow boat. This is a semi-widebeam and handles completely differently. It also weighs quite a bit more. There's about 18 tons of boat here, so I was a little nervous as we set out, as you can imagine. With the strong wind from the left as I started the turn, the wind was pushing the whole boat sideways. The bow just didn't want to come around. Fortunately, on this boat there's a bow thruster, and so once the boat was stopped, even though we were still moving sideways slightly, I was able to just give a little squirt on the bow thruster, and you can see the water movement to the left of the boat, and the bow came around nicely. This is where I learned my next lesson. It would have been much easier to have dropped the crew off to prepare the lock so that I could have just brought the boat straight in without having to wait for the lock to fill, which would have saved me from being moved around by the wind and the water flow into the lock. Valuable lesson learned. Bridge 1 is an interesting bridge. It continues the towpath on the main canal and when coming south from Garstang onto the Glasson, but it acts as a turnover bridge when coming north and heading onto the Glasson. So is it a turnover bridge or not? Let me know what you think in the comments below. The Glasson Branch came fully into use in 1826 in order to provide access to and from the sea onto the Lancaster Canal. Glasson Dock itself became very popular in the mid-19th century, with canal tonnage and traffic growing massively. In 1840, for example, 185 ships passed over the canal, carrying over 12,000 tonnes of goods. Coal was sent onwards to North Wales, Ireland, Ulverston, while incoming goods included slate, timber, grain and potatoes. The branch is just over 2.5 miles in length and has 6 locks, each of which is of the same construction, and these drop the canal just over 58 feet from Golgate down to the basin at Glaston. The locks were designed to take boats up to 72 feet in length and 14.5 feet wide, and each lock contains a massive 75,000 gallons of water. You don't need a windlass on the Glasson Branch because all the handles are built into the paddle mechanisms. You will need a CRT sanitary station key to unlock the paddles though. Two types of lock paddle on the Glasson Branch. The top gates of each lock use ground paddles. These have vertical ratchets and use sluices set into the masonry of the lock. The water flow can be quite fierce when opened, and a good trick is to only open the sluice on the side your boat is on. As the water enters the lock, it hits the far wall and reflects back, keeping the boat to the side. The bottom gates use gate paddles, but they're unusual in that they operate using horizontal ratchets. These in turn operate a long arm which opens a hole in the gate. They're pretty heavy to operate, but as previously mentioned, they have built-in handles. Unfortunately, as of the time of filming, quite a few of them are not in use and are either locked off or fixed in place in some way, as is the right hand paddle here. Some of the gates are quite leaky, which makes for some great video shots. I lined up this shot of the heron to take it at slow motion, as I expected it to take off as we passed. Of course, having planned the shot, it didn't move. When we arrived at Lock 6, CRT workers were tidying up the grass verges around the lock. Nice to see. We would spend more time at this lock on the way back. Watch part 2 next week for more. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel, it really helps. Clicking the bell will notify you when I release a new video. I welcome all comments and will always reply. Many thanks for watching.